So on Friday, Mr. Zelensky, wearing his Sunday best, showed up at the White House, strolled all in to the Oval Office, and sat down for a long meeting with President Trump, J.D. Vance, and Marco Rubio. Now, let me pause. The media is misrepresenting what happened on Friday. It was over a 40-minute discussion. Many people are only catching 30 seconds of it or 2 minutes of it. If you want to get the entire story, you should watch all 40 minutes. Zelensky needs America. America does not need Zelensky. Ukraine needs America. America does not need Ukraine. And then at a certain moment, things started to escalate. Things started to bubble up. J.D. Vance and Zelensky started to kind of go back and forth. The first 3/4 of the meeting were uneventful. Now, it's credit to President Trump for allowing the cameras to run, for saying, no, we want the American people to see all this. We want you to be in the room. And remember, this is why they hate Donald Trump, because he brings you into the room. He brings you to the table. You have a seat at the table. You see how the negotiations are going. If we are going to go to World War III, we want you to be able to decide who's in the right and who is in the wrong. Not leaks, not one-off accounts. We, the people, own the table. Under Joe Biden or that entire regime, they never would have thought of bringing in the press for 40 minutes, which, again, I just find so laughable. On campuses, some of these liberals will say, oh, Donald Trump is attack on the free press. Attack on the free press. He let the press for 40 minutes in the Oval Office uninterrupted get the best ratings for daytime TV that they've ever seen. So I want to play some of the longer cuts here, intentionally, just to kind of set the table. J.D. Vance, in this nearly 2-minute clip, and it's very, very rare for us to play a 2-minute clip here on this program, but it's worth it. It's historic. We want to play it in context. This started to bubble up. And J.D. Vance asked a very simple question. Do you think it's respectful to come to the Oval Office and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country? Zelensky got very mad. All Zelensky had to do was just say, I love America. Thank you, America. I'm so thankful for America. America's wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's all he had to say. But Zelensky can't help himself. Something about Zelensky and how he feels or his attitude, or there's something more sinister going on. I think there's somebody in Zelensky's ear, and I'll get to that. I think there's either Senate Democrats or deep state actors in the Central Intelligence Agency that are undermining President Trump's potential win here in Ukraine that got in Zelensky's ear, saying that there might be some that trying to undermine this deal quietly because this was a masterclass by President Trump and J.D. Vance. But you have to wonder, was Zelensky sent on a kamikaze mission to blow this up? Here is the long tape. It's nearly 2 minutes of one of the more historic moments in American diplomacy ever caught on camera, play cut 22.
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you are not strong...
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come to the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to...
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military?
We have problems.
And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems, even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless. You will not have war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that. Remember this. You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you don't. You're playing cards.
Mr. President.
You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's back to you. Far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once?
A lot of times.
No, in this entire meeting, you said thank you.
Even today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
We've never seen anything like this. And I just have to marvel at how transparent this administration is. You want to get on what side do you stand on? Do you stand on the side of the foreigner come and begging for money? Or do you stand on the side of America? And by the way, it keeps going, and it kept going, and we're going to keep on analyzing it. We have never seen or heard anything like this, a public collapse of a deal. It never, ever happens on camera. And I think this is one of the healthiest developments in American diplomacy. Sometimes deals don't go the right way. Sometimes they go the correct way. But you deserve to know all the elements involved. If we are going to keep on sleepwalking closer and closer into a war, you should know why. If we're going to get away from Ukraine, you deserve why. To know why. And J.D. Vance asking the question, who are you to say what our country is and is not going to do? And you're going to see in the next clip, in the next segment, what really set off President Trump. Oof, it really set him off. When Zelensky was telling Donald Trump that America might be involved in a war against Russia, and Zelensky even tries to walk it back. And what an arrogant attitude that Zelensky brought into the White House. You have to wonder, did Zelensky even want a deal? Of course he does on the surface, but he wasn't acting like it. Before that meeting, he had another meeting at the Hay Adams with Democrat establishment and Republican establishment senators who probably gave him a false sense of confidence. He has the attitude of migrants who are coming to America and Europe. Give me more. I want this. You need to give us that. Well, that's not the way it works with President Trump and J.D. Vance. If you don't respect the Oval Office and respect our country, then you're going to get kicked out. President Donald Trump, to his great credit, stood up for his number two, J.D. Vance. He saw what was going on here. He said, wait a second, you don't talk to my number two this way. You don't talk to my guy this way. This guy loves America. He's my number two. I picked him. And then President Trump got involved. You see, Zelensky thought that he could kind of slap around J.D. Vance a little bit because he's been told by his oligarch handlers that, oh, J.D. Vance is a isolationist, but Trump is with you. Oh, no. Zelensky antagonized this entire administration. He antagonized the American people with his smug, arrogant attitude. All Zelensky had to do was keep his head down and say, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Again, it begs the question, did Zelensky actually want a deal? Was Zelensky sent with an ulterior motive to blow this up and make President Trump look bad? Zelensky has no humility. It's just naked entitlement. Play cut 24.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this, I tell you.
Just say thank you.
I said a lot of times thank you to American people.
Except that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on out here. I think it's very important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the cards.
Thankful.
You're buried there. Your people are dying. You're
again,
running low on soldiers.
Listen,
you're running
Mr.
low
President.
on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing.
Mr.
And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go, and I wanted this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
with guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't
it doesn't
with
matter
me.
for you what
that wasn't
this
with me. That was with a guy named Biden, who was not a smart person. That was with Obama.
It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
When people are in a war, it radicalizes them. They get obsessed and hateful. It's just how war is. It's understandable to a certain extent that Zelensky completely hates Russia. Who could blame him? But to be a statesman, you have to overcome it. The quick detail there is important. We're not talking about a peace deal. First, we're talking about a ceasefire to stop the killing that can then lead to a peace deal. Let's just have a ceasefire. Let's stop the killing and bring everybody to the table. But Zelensky, with his arms crossed, no, we're not doing that. In the art of the deal, President Trump says, without us, you're going to get obliterated. And then the Europeans are acting all uppity this weekend. You got Keir Starmer and you got the Germans. What are they going to do? With what army is the UK and the Germans going to support Ukraine? Trump is trying to tell them, look, stop trying to tell us that Putin is bad. We get it. Stop trying to get me to say that. I'm trying to make a deal. You see, President Trump actually understands the basic principle and idea of diplomacy, because if President Trump goes on, oh, Putin's the worst person ever, he's a dictator, how is he going to pick up the phone to a Russian Federation whose relationship was severely damaged, if not broken and shattered by the Biden administration? So President Trump has a very difficult task. He has to resurrect and rebuild diplomatic channels with Russia, while simultaneously trying to get these lunatics in Ukraine to calm down and to mute their bloodlust. It's a very difficult diplomatic balance, because President Trump, after this, has got on the phone with the Russians, and they have a million different complaints. We got sanctions on them. We've kicked out their diplomats. We're sending missiles into the interior of Russia. Our weaponry has been responsible for killing hundreds of thousands of Russians. They're not happy with us. And so President Trump is trying to show, no, this is different. We're going to stop offensive cyber operations against you, which was probably a bunch of nothing anyways, probably just a bunch of hocus pocus. And Zelensky is against it. Why? Because he says Putin violates ceasefires. Okay, well, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. There's a new president in town. But Zelensky's not someone who wants peace, and that's a tragedy. Because absent the United States of America backstopping Ukraine, Russia would take over the entire country, Ukraine, which would not be good. It'd be a tragedy. We don't want to see that happen. In just a second, we have Senator Markwayne Mullin joining us. I know that he is getting connected. I want to just play some of the media reaction to further set the table here, understanding how unpopular Zelensky has become. This is from CNN, Harry Enton, who does a very good job, I have to say. Play cut 3.
Holy Toledo. Look at this trend line here. U.S. support for Ukraine is too much. Back when the war began, back in February of 2022, it was just 7%. Up like a rocket ship. My goodness. Up now in February of 2025 to 41%. And the clear majority of Republicans, and of course Republicans are in charge of the U.S. government now, 62% of Republicans say that the U.S. support for Ukraine is too much. What a difference from just 3 years ago. I can remember, John, all those backyards in the United States with those Ukrainian flags. Far fewer of them today, as Americans' opinions on Ukraine have changed dramatically.
Joining us now is Senator Mullin from Oklahoma, Senator Markwayne Mullin. Senator, thank you for taking the time.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Good to see you, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing good. Sorry about this. My flight out of Oklahoma City or Tulsa got canceled, and so I'm flying to Oklahoma City to get to Tulsa in time. My wife's actually driving me, so I apologize about this.
All good. No worries. Well, thank you for taking the time. So give us, what is your reaction of the Oval Office meeting that happened on Friday, the now famous, between Zelensky, J.D. Vance, and the president?
Well, Charlie, you and I have had discussions about Ukraine funding, and I have been on the side of saying, you know, we have an obligation to Ukraine because of the Budapest Memorandum signed in 1994. The problem is that you don't bite the hand that's feeding you. And it's very frustrating to me when you start having the president, Zelensky, who has to have us, disrespect the president and the vice president in that manner. There's no excuse for it. And at this point, it's not our issue. It is the president's position, President Trump's position, to end the fighting. When that takes place, President Zelensky, who has to have us, has to listen, because we're tired of funding it. The taxpayers are tired of funding it. It's been going on long enough. There's no end in sight. There's no win for Ukraine here. How do you get out and stop the killing, which is what President Trump has made very clear he wants to stop? And then he's saying that he's not ready to negotiate. That's at that point, the President Trump did exactly what he needed to do: kick him out and say, "Come back when you're ready for peace."
So what do you think is the path forward? Do you think that Zelensky should remain as leader of his country? Should he resign? I mean, this was a blatant disrespect to the United States, what happened in the Oval Office.
You know, it's not for me to say that he should resign or not. I think that's for the people of Ukraine and Ukrainians to make that decision. I don't want to get in the position of what happened during the Arab Spring, to where Secretary Clinton was making a decision who's going to rule what country. That's been a disaster ever since. What I want to do is keep the taxpayer dollars going to what President Trump wants to spend them for. And President Trump wants to end the killing. And at the same time, I think we have a very strong position that we should be able to recoup the money, the billions of dollars we spent by negotiating the mineral deal. If you remember, Charlie, you and I spoke about this mineral deal because Lindsey Graham, myself, Josh Gunheimer, all negotiated that deal, the national security deal, back almost a year ago, that allowed us to have rights to the minerals. We had, in part of the funding that we did a year ago, we had put in there that we have first rights of refusal to the minerals. Now, keep in mind, this is the third largest mineral deposit in the world that we know of. We think that once we get in there, it's going, because right now we know it's valued at almost $3 trillion. We think once we get in there and we actually are having U.S. mining companies using today's technology, we feel like once we get in there, it may be the world's largest deposit. Well, right now we're getting the majority of our rare earth minerals from China. So this would be a huge advantage for us if we were able to get this mineral deal done. At that point, it becomes a national security interest for us, which doesn't make any sense at all why Zelensky wouldn't want that deal done. Because if we're vested and we have a special interest in getting the minerals done, then that also becomes the national security for us, and we're going to have more people in there to be able to protect Ukraine from Russia's aggression.
So Senator, I don't want to indulge too much in this, but do you think at the very least that Zelensky had a false sense of confidence because of the meeting beforehand? I mean, where would he get off like this? Because it was trending fine. It would have been a win for America, a win for President Trump. Our audience is perplexed by this.
I think, one, he was used to dealing with the passive administration of Biden, who couldn't remember one sentence past the next. He hadn't dealt with a strong leader like President Trump and our Vice President J.D. Vance. I think he got in there thinking he was going to. I think he thought the media was on his side. What he didn't realize is America has changed. The narrative has changed. People are tired of it. President Trump made it a campaign speech, literally, that he was going to end the killing in Ukraine. And the American people they want to make that happen. What I don't understand is how the left is getting off on all of a sudden saying that they're for this war. I think it's a losing argument on their side. And plus, Zelensky's got a bad read on politics. Keep in mind, he went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for Harris. Vice President Vance brought that up, and that still is a sore subject. What Zelensky should have done, which obviously he didn't read politics very well, which most Europeans don't understand American politics. What he should have done is came in with his hat in hand, thank the president for his support, thank the president for trying to negotiate peace, thank the American people for the investment, and say, we would love to partner with you with the minerals that Ukraine have, and let's move forward. Instead, he wanted to air it out in front of all the cameras, which is a bad move, especially with President Trump.
No doubt. In closing here, Senator, what is the path forward? Because it looks as if this is a broken deal. The Europeans are talking a big game, but you and I both know they don't have the powder. They don't have the dry powder to do this. They don't have the economic might. They don't have the military might. They don't have the technological backing. They don't have the people. They don't have the military prowess. So what is the path forward here?
Well, the path forward is that Zelensky comes to President Trump, apologizes to the American people, and says, we're going to give you a very favorable mineral deal and negotiate the best peace deal you can. And on the other hand, if he thinks European Union is the backing he needs, good on them. Let the American people pull out. I've always said that we shouldn't be taking the lead on this to begin with. It's not in our backyard. It's Europeans' interest, not our interest. They got the gas line. Ukraine, remember, has the second largest natural gas line going into Europe. And if they want Russia to control all the gas to Europe, which means they'll control the entire economy, then that's on Europe. And so if Europe wants to take the reins here, if Europe wants to think they can fight this war without us, great. It hasn't happened the last 2 times they thought they could do that. We had to get involved. But if this is one they want to do, then let America take a back seat and have at it.
Senator, safe journeys and travels. Thank you for taking the time today, and good luck cleaning up this mess because it's a big one. Thank you.
Thanks, Charlie. Appreciate you. Bye.
So, look, the situation at hand is immense, but you got to love President Trump for standing up for our country and not allowing the metaphorical desecration of the Oval Office to happen there, which is basically what's happening. You're going to go pick a fight with our vice president? It's outrageous. Now, the media, how are they reacting to this? Predictably. But before I even get into that, I want to play this. Let's play cut 19. More of President Trump dressing down Zelensky. Play cut 19.
Your country is in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No.
Can
You've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning.
I know.
You're not winning this.
I
You have a damn good chance of
we
coming
are
out
staying,
okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through
I
this
said
stupid president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about
if you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me.
equipment,
You invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
Look, I'm not one to give, let's just say unique advice, but here's some good rules for life. If Zelensky actually wanted the deal, which I'm not convinced he did. Number one, you'd never interrupt a president of the United States, regardless of who that president is. But you especially don't interrupt President Trump. And you especially don't interrupt President Trump when your country is in total ruins and you have no leverage whatsoever. Again, I'm not confident that he intentionally sabotaged this. What I'm getting at is that there very well might have been a false sense of confidence of somebody whispering in his ear that if you play a strong man, it's all going to end up fine. In fact, we want you to stand up for Trump, stand up to Trump, that Trump will fold, that you need to do that. I think that somebody put that in his ear. And President Trump is dressing him down, as he should. You don't have the cards. And you could tell President Trump is getting so mad because he says, listen, I got guys on both sides of this deal here. I got to deal with you, and I got to deal with the Russians. And President Trump is basically saying, we're trying to do this mineral thing, which is nothing for you. You don't have a country. Of course you're going to give away half your mineral rights. You don't have a country. This is statecraft on display. And Zelensky going on and on about how he can potentially win the war. He will not win the war. Since the beginning, that has been clear and evident, despite the fact we've spent hundreds of billions of dollars.